So in this video, I'm going to go over the presence of God, the CIA, and taxpayer dollars going to things like remote viewing. I'll be going over how psychics were thought to exist, and some coincidences in life and things you can do, like meditation, prayer, opening up a connection to God, that can enhance your remote viewing or your ability to have just wicked good luck. Things like that. Prayer, meditation. So, first I'll go over what the CIA did. So, for the last, since the 1950s, 1960s, still today there's a black budget for it, they hired remote viewers. This was one of the few more out there studies that actually were proven to succeed. It was one of the only, they've studied LSD mind control, they've studied, ESP, they've studied reading minds, and most of those studies were failures. But, but, remote viewing is still used by a black budget today, and thanks to the Freedom of Information Act, we know all the way to the 90s there was government agents doing remote viewing for the CIA, Secret Service, and the FBI. They still openly talk about this today and how they were paid by the taxpayers to do remote viewing, and how 20% of the time they were able to see something on the other side of the earth very clearly, and it helped the mission. So remote viewing is a real thing, and one of the ways they test if you have the ability to remote view is they will grab a deck of cards with shapes on it. They'll have you in one room while another man holds up a card and looks at it, and your job is to name what that card is from another room without being in that room. And some people who have a connection to God, they're usually spiritual people or people that can meditate or have this connection, are able to remote view the card in their mind, in their mind's eye, see a heart, then see a two, then say, I think it's two of hearts. Then they take that message to the other room. They check if the guy's holding up a two of hearts. And if 90, 80% of these guesses are correct, then that is really good. So then they have you come back in a month and do the test again and again. And if you continue to get this 80, 90% correct, then you are remote viewing. Now, this isn't odds and guessing. They're actually using their mind's eye to come up with a picture. This is something much different. This is why the government studied it and found it to be a success. That these people could look at things on the other side of the world, bases, nuclear bases, and then when they get there, it matches the drawings. Yes, these remote viewers would draw a base or explain a tree or a scenery around there, and then when the soldiers got there, they would compare the mission of actual success with the soldiers to what the remote viewer said it would be like. And when they compared them, a lot of them matched. These remote viewers practiced their skills, honed them in so well that some of them really worked. And this was a success according to our government. Not according to me. According to the U.S. government, the CIA, the FBI, the Secret Service, and many other organizations, remote viewers are absolutely 100% legit. It was a successful program, and there's still a black budget that's still running this program today. They canceled the one in the 90s and reopened a new one. And there's plenty about this. Now, I experienced my own version of remote viewing without even knowing it. Now, as a kid, I tried to meditate. I was a lot by myself, especially in Ogunquit. I couldn't wait till somebody to come by, like my nephew or my brother or somebody, because it was just me, my crazy ass mother, my father, someplace not spending much time with me or paying much attention to me, And on top of this, a bunch of drugs that my mother would play with me with. Oh, here's some Thorazine, here's some Seroquel, here's some Trazodone, here's some Zyprexa, here's some Ritalin, here's some Adderall, here's some Wellbutrin, here's some Risperidone that's making your nipples leak milk, here's some Lamictal, and oh, you got severe headaches and hangovers and you're getting severe side effects, here's some more drugs. So with all that going on in Maine, it was very nice to have any company because I didn't get out much. I didn't. I was either in a program with my mother controlling my pills and my health care while I'm in the program, and then I'm going home on weekends getting belittled by my mother and not being able to move forward with my milestones like driving, it just health, my normal milestones. I mean, like at age 7, when I was with the overdose and I was supposed to go to the emergency room, instead I was left to die on a pile of newspapers, woke up with a permanent neurological disorder. Then when I started talking about it, my mother did everything in her power to literally just make sure nobody noticed what went on. My mother knew exactly what happened. I didn't know because I was 7. I just knew something really bad just happened to my body after my mother gave me medication. But my mother took real evasive action. Not only did she change doctors, not only did she put me in ballet, not only did she ignore the schools, not only did she lie to her husband, not only did she take her son's accomplishments and try to brainwash him and try to fuck with his head so that way nobody could get a clue of what was going on with him. Then she traffics him to Texas and then moves him to New Mexico, then moves him to Maine, then moves him to Chelmsford, then moves him to Haverhill, then moves him to Lawrence, then moves him to just everywhere, moving in between vacations to Florida, vacations to Hawaii, vacations here. Just so much moving around that nobody could get a read on my health. Now, one time in Ogunquit, Maine, I was maybe about 13, 14 years old, and my nephew was maybe 9, 10 years old. I felt this real good energy. My nephew came over, and everything just seemed to go my way. Everything that I felt like I could see what was going to happen before it could happen this day. Every so often, it doesn't happen often, maybe once every 4 years or randomly, I'll get this good mojo going. It's like that day where everything seems to fall in line for you. Oh, I need a 20. Oh, damn it. Oh, there's a 20 on the ground. And you pick up the 20. How did that happen? I need a 20. There's a 20 on the ground. Oh. And then, I missed supper and it's 9 o'clock at night. I'm stuck on a bench. Oh, I'll pray for, but God, can I get food? Then all of a sudden a car pops off and says, you want McDonald's? Sure, drives you to McDonald's. All these things lining up perfectly. Just one of those days or one of those times where you can feel that presence. So, we're up in the room and we have a deck of playing cards. We don't have any real good games, so I just say I'm gonna guess. I feel like I could show you a cool trick. You know all those magic tricks? Well, I'm gonna try a real trick. I'm gonna have you flip cards, and I'm gonna name the card before you flip it. And I have a feeling I can get almost all of them right. So he flips it, and I say queen, face card. No, we do face card and number. So I have to name the number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, or a face card. So that gives me a lot right there. So I go 2, face card, 5, ace, face card, 9, and believe it or not, with about 12 cards being flipped, I got 11 or 12 of them right. And we kept on flipping, and I kept on getting them right without even knowing. I just pictured them in my mind's eye. I just tried to picture what that card could be in my mind's eye. None of the cards were marked. There was no tricks, nothing going on. I was just using my mind's eye to picture what I thought the next card would be. And then my nephew would pick the card. He could shuffle it, he could do whatever he wanted. My nephew was shuffling the cards, picking cards from the bottom of the deck, picking them from the middle of the deck. He was doing everything he could, but see, there was no trick to it. I was just trying to picture a card. Now, I did get one wrong, I'm pretty sure. But out of all the cards flipped, I got so many right, I was surprising myself. I was going, what? What? How did I get that? Oh, okay. 3. I got the 2 as a frog. What the fuck? It was getting pretty weird. So by I don't know, the 12th time I got it right, I just called it quits. This is getting too weird for me. I'm just picturing a card in my head, and it's appearing on the next card. No matter where you pick it from, no matter what you do. And my hands aren't on the deck. I'm not doing anything. The cards are just a regular bicycle card deck. There's no marks on them. You could switch the card deck. There's nothing. I couldn't do this 100 times again if I tried. You just got to have that right mojo going, that right meditation where you feel that calm feeling, that peace in your soul, and like a connection to God. When you have that where money just seems to appear in front of you, things just go your way, you get free rides on the bus, everything just falls out of the sky for you that day. It seems like those days are the best day to try to remote view. It seems like that if you are going to try to do something like that, you want to have this mojo going. I'm not sure what gets that mojo going. I'm not sure what picks the day. I know on sunny days with lots of blue sky, it seems to be most of the time that that's the case. But sometimes it's cloudy and rainy when I get like this too. So there is no, I feel it more on like regular beautiful days, but I've had this luck on a day where it was fall and it was cold and rainy and I found $80. I was broke. This girl was broke. We had nothing to do. We were just sitting in a hallway and I said, let's go for a walk. I have a feeling I'm going to find some money. And she said, what do you mean you have a feeling you're going to find some money? I said, I don't know. I just have this good feeling that something is waiting for me in that cold right now. And he said, well, this is a big cold spell. This is the 11th month, and we had this. It's only 20 out there right now. This is a big cold spell, or maybe it was later. Maybe it was January. I can't remember the month exactly. But I was in the hallway. This girl was with me, telling her that how I felt like there was some need to go in the cold to take a walk. She goes, you hate cold. You shake. You bitched at me to get in this hallway. I didn't want to go in the hallway. I wanted to go here and here. But you bitched it was too cold. Now you want to go back out, blah, blah, blah. I said, yes, I'm freezing cold, yes. But I have this feeling inside of me like something is calling me to go for a walk. I need to go that way. I just need to go out and I need to go that way. We can come back. We'll put something in the door. So we put something in the door. We go for a walk. I'm walking. She just keeps walking. And all of a sudden I come through money. $80 right in front of me. I bend down, pick it up. Oh, no. $80 was with the other kid. This was $40. Sorry. It was $40. I picked up the $40. The girl came over and said, oh, money. Here, split that with me, all right? Money. I say, yes, here is 20 for you, 20 for me. I'm going to get a pack of cigarettes and lunch. That's what I'm going to get. I need some bus fare, so I'm going to keep $1.50 for bus fare. I'm going to get my lunch, and I'm going to get a pack of smokes. Here's 20 for you. She goes, I want cigarettes too. And I'm only 20. Fine, I'll get you cigarettes. So I buy her cigarettes. She's 20 years old. They just bumped the law to 21 like 2 years prior or whatever. I end up getting my cigarettes. We go to her father's house who would buy the cigarettes for her anyways, and I meet her parents. And she did, and that was funny too because it was warm at her parents' house, and originally she didn't even want to introduce me to her parents, but thanks to me finding this money, all of a sudden she loosened up. Now, I didn't end up staying with her because somebody told me she was lying about her age, but when I saw her ID, she is 20, so maybe she was lying to get cigarettes at 21. I don't really know what they were talking about, but after 7 days, she was too much. She was a little heavy set, a little too much. I told her that if you're going to lie to me, come back when you're not lying to me. Because when I asked her a bunch of questions, she kept on lying and lying and lying. And I don't mind if you lie to me. You're able to hang out with me, but I'm not going to maybe move the next step to dating to you until if I'm going to marry, date you, have sex with you, and trust you, I'm kind of going to need you to be willing to take responsibility or tell me the things you don't want to tell me. Something that my father was never really good at, but I was good with my father. When I took a beer or sip a beer, I told my father. When I burned a slug, I told my father. When I did something wrong, I wanted to tell somebody, and I still to this day I have a clean conscience because I do that. If I make a mistake, I want to look for the person that's involved and I want to tell them. If I'm at work and I break something, I call my boss and say, oops, I just broke the slusher machine. If I am at work and something happens, I tell them. If I am with a friend and I break their phone, I tell them and tell them I'm going to buy them a new phone or I'll have to fix this for you. That's just how I am. I'm an open book, so I never have to worry about looking over my shoulder. But I do have to worry about people making up stories, lies to try to get themselves out of trouble. Something I found out is very common. My mother used to do it, like my mother drank a bottle of booze during the day. I came back from the program on a weekend on the Saturday or Friday, and then she tried to blame me for her own drinking. I did nothing wrong. I didn't drink any alcohol for that total 5 years prior. There's no alcohol at this point. This isn't. But after this, after my mother's willing to blame me for her drinking and punish me for 2 weeks and then come clean, I didn't give a fuck about what she wanted at that point. You're blaming me for your own actions. So those type of things. Or when the landlord, like I moved into this apartment. This apartment is destroyed. There's child crayon on the wall. There was a hole in the hallway on the door. I've asked him to fix that since day one. There's just, and the door is expensive. I don't want to have to replace his door for him for hundreds of dollars. If it's a wall, okay, I put some plaster in it and I fix it. But a door, I moved in, you have a hole in the door. Fix the goddamn door. I moved in, you told me you would take care of it. It's still there. Anyway, when I leave this apartment, the landlord, I guarantee, does not be honest. He'll say that the crayon is somehow from us. We are the ones writing crayon on the wall in a squiggly. No, that is the child that lived here before us that we bitched at you to clean. And the mold under the sink, oh, they must have put some wet rags under there. And the moldy window, oh, they must have left it open while it was raining. He'll just come up with one excuse after another to blame me, and then when the next tenant moves in, he'll pull the same bullshit. My father, same thing. Why did my father move to Texas? Because a 7-year-old wanted to go and live there. Why did he move out of Texas then? Did a 7-year-old want to move out of Texas too? What the fuck? That doesn't make any sense. How about my Social Security? If I try to have a conversation about why I'm having trouble collecting Social Security, even though I have 100 times more disabilities than the people I see on Social Security, yes. I literally have a guy driving me home that's on Social Security that cries and says like, "Oh my God, how are you not on Social Security? I'm on Social Security and you can't even walk. You're shaking. You can't talk sometimes. You have ADHD. You definitely have some type of PTSD. You're scared of your own shadow sometimes. You're falling down. I've picked you up from the emergency room from seizures. There's so much, and you've had this going on, and you still can't collect." Yeah, well, even if I lose my left arm, I can't collect. My father, and not only that, if I do collect, there'll be no money left. My father basically cleaned out my Social Security for himself. I guarantee you, when I go to retire, the fact my father used me up is going to affect the amount of Social Security I can collect. Because if somebody else has already collected disability in your name, and then you go to collect disability, that is going to be affected in one way or another. But no, that's my fault. That's my fault somehow. All of it, my fault. The lack of education. I'm missing 4 years of education plus some more. Did I do something wrong where I had to redo first grade? When I had to redo first grade, what did I do? Oh no, my mother made that choice. She did something wrong. Okay. How about New Mexico? Did I ask to go to New Mexico? Did I think it was a good idea? Did I want to stay there where I missed out on 18 months of education? Nope. Again, my father's and mother's choices. So I missed out now on 2.5 years of education. Well, did I ask my mother and father to go sell property in Ogunquit, try to go make themselves some money, sell properties, or would have I been happy just in a 2-bedroom apartment that we rented? I would have been fine with that. I don't care what we live in as long as I have a home and a family and I'm getting the normal stuff that kids need, like clothing, food. I'm just a normal kid. That's all I want to be. Nope, I didn't ask my father to go sell property and go, enhance his life and go vacation on the beach, go see fireworks, go out to eat. I didn't ask for any of that. My father wanted that. But I missed out on 6 more months of education. So now we're on 3 years, no education straight. From 18 months in New Mexico to the 6 months in Maine, no education straight. It's all bullshit. I mean, a pile of papers is not an education, and there was no teacher in New Mexico. It's just a bunch of bullshit. And then, on top of that, then we moved to Chelmsford, and I got put into another school. Now, Is it my fault that that school is scamming parents out of money and just allowing kids to play with toys for a year? Nope. Did I tell somebody about it? Yup. Did I tell my parents that there was no classes for an entire year? Yup. Did I tell them before I was taken out of that school and transferred after the year was over? Yup. Did I tell my parents right from the beginning that there were no classes and I was playing with toys all day long? Yup. Did I continue playing with toys? Yup. Was I punished for telling my parents what was going on? Yes. The teacher definitely punished me. She held me in front of the class, told everybody to sit in their chair for the day because I told my parents what was going on in the classroom. That isn't what happened. All the kids went to play with their toys after only like an hour or less. But still, I was punished because I told my parents what was going on. I told them the truth. This happens quite often. I tell my mother and father the truth of what's going on, what real life is like. I try to bring them down to earth with the real life. This is real life over here. And then they make everything 10 times worse. So that way I have to suffer horrible, horrible, horrible failures, deaths, pains. There's so much. So much. I try to ask for help. My mother and father try to get me killed, or try to get my education killed, or try to get me fucked up, or try to fuck up my mental health, or try to mess with my physical health, or add on drugs I don't need, or let my mother mess around with drugs, or stick me with a bunch of different problematic kids who actually have behavioral problems. Meanwhile, I'm the goody two-shoes of the program getting picked on continuously because I was brought up to just take abuse. Yes, my mother and father taught me how to take abuse. That's what they were teaching me. When I got an OD, my mother taught me to just take the OD. Just sit there. Oh, yeah, I OD'd you. Oh, you stopped breathing for a second. Oh, you lost your ability to see out of your eyeballs. Well, just sit and take it. Oh, you're talking at the doctor's? Oh, now I got to drug you some more. Oh, you want to go out trick-or-treating and I don't want you to and father says yes? Well, here's some pills. Oh, now you're sick? Ha. Now you can't go out. That type of crazy ass shit. And not only that, I was also given these lessons. They would bring me to expensive dinners and tell me, you need meds for life. We're not going to explain what the meds are for. We're not going to read the side effects about it. We're not going to go over your disabilities. You need these meds for life. 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 Over and over and over every week telling me and brainwashing me I need drugs for life. Okay. Well, what else? What else did they train me? I had to jump when jump. If my mother said to jump and do something dangerous, I was supposed to jump and do that thing dangerous. If my mother told me to tell a doctor something, I was supposed to tell a doctor something even if it got me hurt. If my mother told me to do something like give a child some pills, I was supposed to do it even though I didn't. My mother taught me, when I say jump, you jump. Doesn't matter what it is. If I tell you to jump off a bridge, you jump off that bridge. She made that very clear for years. This wasn't a rhetoric like trying to train a child to use this in the right circumstances. She was using this in the wrong ways. Here's another example. So, if your kid tries to blame, like he knocks over the lamp and he says that it's medication, then you tell your child, don't blame the meds. Now, I went up to my mother complaining of side effects in the morning like headaches. I talked to my mother about side effects like nausea. I told my mother I was bumping in the furniture and hitting my shins on stuff and I didn't know why. I was telling my mother I was having problems moving my body. You know what my mother said? And all these times, don't blame the medicine. Don't blame the medicine. Don't blame the medicine. I tried to tell my mother I was drowsy in the morning and couldn't keep my eyes open. Don't blame the medicine. I told my mother my heart was racing and feeling very weird and I was having a sinking fear feeling and I thought it might be from the medicine. Don't blame the medicine. I told my mother I felt like I was getting depressed and sad from the medicine at about 2 hours after I took it. Don't blame the medicine. You're just depressed. That's just you. You're just depressed. You're bipolar. You're suicidal. You got all this stuff. It's you. But you know what's funny? The minute I stopped taking all these drugs that my mother and father were forcing me to take, it all cleared up. No more depression. No more suicidal thoughts. All I had to stop doing is getting drugged. Who would have guessed? Let me see. Could have my mother guessed that downers would make me down and depressants might make me depressed? Could have my father guessed that? Could have they read the paperwork that the doctors were handing them? Could have my mother and father read the paperwork that the pharmacies were handing them? Could have they just read where it says, these medications might cause depression, suicidal thoughts, heart palpitations, drowsy, dry mouth, all these things? Maybe they could have read that and I would have teeth today. But instead, I have no teeth in my mouth thanks to my mother and father. Yes, I had them all removed. Why? Because all the enamel of my teeth all disappeared at the same time during childhood. While I was getting a Herbst appliance in my mouth at the age of 15, 16 years old, about 15 years old, I had a Herbst appliance. The doctors were talking to me about dry mouth from medication, warning me that if I continued to have dry mouth, the enamel of my teeth would disappear. They were telling me this at 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. I asked them if brushing would help with this. They said no. Brushing will not help with dry mouth. What we need you to do is use a special solution for dry mouth. So I tried to use that, but I didn't have the money to buy it, and the program would not drive me to pick it up when I needed it. So a lot of the times I went without. Plus, the medication I was taking would blow right through the dry mouth wash. Yes, the medication causes dry mouth. At least 5 of the medications I was on caused dry mouth. So this continued and continued all the way to about the age 22, which at that point I have no more enamel, the dentists are saying. So at that point, I start getting teeth removed that start getting infected so bad that they're not fixable because there's no enamel protecting any of my teeth. But one after another, each tooth went. Now, I take responsibility for not brushing while homeless and not brushing all the time when I was like 7, maybe, as a little kid. I didn't brush as good, but I kept the smell and things out of my mouth. I kept the stuff out, and in the programs I brushed a lot too, because the other kids, it's just something that they would make fun of you for if you didn't do. At night everybody would talk at the whatever. So I blame myself a little bit there. But when you talk to the doctors, blaming myself is the wrong decision because the facts speak for themselves. So people who are mentally ill and want to avoid responsibility will take any little information. Like in this conversation, I said, I take a little responsibility for not brushing while homeless, right? Well, if somebody else had a responsibility in this, like my mother or my father's wives or whoever, they might take that information, my honesty right there, and just shove it down my throat. No, you didn't brush. No, you didn't brush. So that's why you have no teeth. See, it's not our fault. It's not our fault. You didn't brush. So it's all your fault. It's all your fault. Don't blame us. It's all your fault. It's all your fault. I'm going to shove this down your throat. You were honest, so now we're going to shove your honesty through down your throat. No, I don't care what other honest stuff you got. I'm going to shove this honest piece down your throat. Yeah, you said you didn't brush, so I'm going to shove this down your throat. I see this all the time from my mother and father. I'm honest with them and tell them, hey, when I was homeless, I didn't brush. That's what I brought up with the dentist. But when I went to the dentist, the orthodontist, and the oral surgeon, that wasn't the problem. They said the plaque and the brushing was fine. The toothpick, they said that's not the issue. That takes a long time to rot away all your teeth. Every single tooth in your mouth is damaged. All of them, every single one. Every single tooth in your mouth is damaged all at the same rate, all going back to your dental records of the Herbst appliance. Your enamel was rotting all at once then. I said, oh, well, what do I do? They said, well, you can use a dry mouth solution to counteract the medication, but at this rate, that's probably not going to do the trick, seeing as medication could still blow past that. So what we suggest is you have the ones that are rotted away removed and get dentures or something to replace them, or get all of them removed. I said, why would I need all of them removed when some of them still look good to me? A lot of them, most of them. They said, well, they have no enamel. They look all right, but everything is rotting them because there is no more enamel. You sleeping with dry mouth every night for 20 years on medications and having dry mouth during the day and having dry mouth all the time. Plus, he said when you Turned about 20, you became a pretty regular weed smoker. With the medications doing it was 10 times stronger than the marijuana. With you smoking marijuana once in a weekend, with all those pills, medications during childhood, your enamel was gone before you were even 20. Yes, your enamel was missing on most of your teeth completely before you were 20, and then by the time you were 22, 24, it was completely gone. And the brushing has that protects it a little bit by adding a film. But she said the dry mouth condition and what you're dealing with has to do with dry mouth. You need to keep your mouth moist. That is the problem you're having. You're not keeping your mouth moist enough. I said, oh, so if I stop smoking weed, would that solve it? They go, no. Did you not hear us? The weed you only started recently on weekends. We're just adding that to tell you that not to, do that while you have dry mouth. Make sure to use the dry mouth wash before you smoke. But the medications are going to cause you a severe dry mouth no matter what you do. So if you want to keep your teeth, you got to go off the medications. But now it's probably too late for that, so we just got to come up with a further solution for your mouth. So they started extracting teeth, but there was no enamel, so they recommended full extraction. I've had all my teeth removed. Why? Dry mouth condition. Why did I have such dry mouth for 20 years? Medications. That's simple. Medications. They started at age 7 at high doses. My mother was messing around with pills, playing doctor, and I was still taking my mother's recommended medications at the age of 19. I was still taking all these drugs that my mother said I needed. And don't forget, I was brainwashed into thinking I really needed this, and there was something really wrong with my nervous system and my body. So I knew something was seriously wrong with me. I didn't know what to call it, and my mother kept on calling it all these weird mental disorders, so I kept on taking the meds thinking one day I would get better. Instead, I keep on getting worse in 1,000 different ways. Thanks, Mom, for killing me. And that's where I'll leave it. And I hate it when people twist and jump down other people's throats just because they don't want to avoid responsibility. Especially when one party's being an honest, truthful person, and then you have the other person just screaming and acting like a lunatic because they want to avoid responsibility. Anybody can avoid responsibility by picking out some truth and ignoring the other parts of the truth that are there. Like if you take everything I told you about the dentist and you subtract everything but the fact I didn't brush while homeless, and then you use stupid logic, what I call stupid logic, that is idiotic logic that doesn't make any sense when you really think it through, but when you hear it really quickly, it makes sense. Like, fluoride is great for people, elderly people. Yeah, fluoride in elderly people's water is fine. No, it's not. They have no teeth. They have no reason to have it. Or, here's another one. My mother or somebody randomly telling me, no, you have no teeth because you didn't brush. Even though they ignored all the dentists, oral surgeons, every single fact in there. The facts are, my teeth were rotting way before I ever became homeless. I had my enamel missing while we were trying to install a Herbst appliance. Doctors and dentists and people were worried about the dry mouth when I was only 15, 16, 17, 18, way before any of that happened. Plus, the dentist has clearly told me the problem I had and why I needed oral surgery is I had no enamel. My teeth looked fine. There was no cavities, no rot, no stuff around it. The problem wasn't that. Those teeth, any cavity teeth, were removed. The problem was is no enamel, so they're going to get knocked down like bowling pins one by one. And if I don't take care of this enamel problem, then it's going to become permanent. And it did. And they told me this. They said, if you continue getting dry mouth, you're going to lose all your enamel and that won't come back. I continued getting dry mouth, and then at the age of 27, I had no more enamel and I needed all my teeth out. It exactly happened exactly like the dentist said it would. It's nothing to do with brushing. I asked about the brushing. I asked about mouthwashes. It was always the dry mouth condition. It's always the medication. So that's a big problem. But if you're an idiot using idiotic logic, you might try to take all this real information, lose it, and just talk about the brushing so that way you can avoid any responsibility on your side. Like maybe who's prescribing, like maybe if you were talking to the doctor, my prescriber who prescribes my medication, or maybe my mother and father who wanted me on that medication. If you ask them about why I have no teeth, they would probably come up with a way to avoid responsibility. They definitely wouldn't say, well, we gave my son medication, it caused dry mouth, the enamel from the dry mouth started to rot away. After 20 years of this, they had no more enamel and he needed to have them removed. That's the truth right there. But they'll probably say he didn't brush, it's his own fault. Something like that. Because that allows them to lie and avoid any responsibility on their side. See, I believe in taking full responsibility for your actions and choices, and something my father and mother are still struggling with today. I have a lot of past fucked up choices, but you have to know the context too. And that's what I have done. I have come clean with my context. Like, for instance, I stole silver dollars and some silver dimes from my father. Boom, I'm a thief, right? Well, let's put it in context. Did I steal all the time? No. Was there more to this? Yes. Was I living there? No. Was I on Social Security and my father getting a check and keeping it? Yes. Did I know this? I got a check in the mail that said 980 with my name on it, and my father yelled and punished me from opening my own mail. So a little bit. I knew a little bit. What else? Was I smoking and addicted to cigarettes? Yes. Was I told not to smoke? Yes. Was I addicted to cigarettes and needing a cigarette? Yes. Was I in my room thinking about cigarettes with no cigarettes? Yes. Was my parents home to watch me or spend time with me? No. Was I home alone? Yes. Did I want a cigarette? Yes. Did I take a walk looking for cigarettes? Yes. Did I take another walk looking for cigarettes? Yes. Did I go upstairs trying not to think about cigarettes? Yes. Did I then go downstairs, grab $4 in coins and go get a pack of cigarettes? Yes. Did I do this again a month later? Yes. Did I then get caught for it? Yes. Did I apologize for it? Yes. Did I come clean for it? Eventually, yes. Was I a child? Yes. Did I make it up to my father after taking responsibility? Did I make it right? Not only did I apologize, not only did I take my punishment, for the next 10 years following that, or the next 6 years following that, I replaced them. I spent every dime I had looking to try to get silver dollars, mercury dimes, all these coins out of these machines I found. And every time I got an opportunity, I gave them to my father. Some were just random gifts. Some would be on birthday or whatever, and I would just keep on throwing them. Whenever I got them, I would just keep on giving him coins back to make it right. So when you give the context like that, yes, I stole, but cigarette cravings were involved, and my father already was doing kind of a couple things that might have been able to help me and prevent this. It's not my father's fault. That's my fault. I have to take full responsibility for my actions. I stole a silver coin. I stole some coins. That's wrong of me. Why did I steal them? To feed a cigarette habit because I was a teenager, not knowing what I was getting myself into, really mixed up, really on drugs with very little impulse control. Also, one other thing I've learned, when I'm off medications, I have way better impulse control. I've seen this in thousands of people, and it's well reported that if you take Xanax or certain medications, they call them karate pins, fight pins, you steal, or klepto pins. That's another one I heard. People like to steal on these medications because it interferes with their impulse control. People who never stole in their life will walk into a store and all of a sudden steal something. The reason why is normally they walk into a store, they get the thought, I want this, I'm going to take it. And they say, no, 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 that's wrong. And then they keep going. But while you're on certain medication, it can interfere with that thought process. You think, hey, I want this, and then you take it because you don't have any impulse control. I've been studying this phenomenon for Klonopin, Xanax, Ativan, Ritalin, and many other medications for years, ever since I heard about it. Doctors know about it. The people who take benzos know about it. The street nicknames are klepto pins, karate pins, fight pins. There's all these different names for them that basically say people lose their impulse control. They fight out of nowhere. They steal out of nowhere. They do stuff out of nowhere. That their impulse is completely destroyed. Their impulse control is completely destroyed. So you got to keep that on mind too, as I'm being drug silly during these things. But it's still my fault. Even if my mother's drugging me silly, I still need to be working on taking responsibility for my actions. Yes, I can tell them, hey, I feel a little funny on all these pills. These cigarettes are making me crave a lot, and I did something wrong. I'm sorry, and I'll make it up to you. And then I got to make the decision not to do it again. But we also need to take me off the medication, which means I need to try to work to get off the medication. But when I talked to my mother, father, or anybody about the side effects of the medication, I was given bullshit rhetoric. Like, don't blame the medicine for a headache. Don't blame the medicine for vomiting. Don't blame the medicine for feeling dizzy. Don't blame the medicine for feeling fear sinking in 2 hours after the medicine. Don't blame the downers for feeling down. Don't blame the depressants for feeling depressed. That's the wrong way of using that. See, if I broke a lamp or if I punched a kid and then tried to blame all my medicines, yeah, maybe so. But there, you do need to go under the side effects because some of these things are important to understand with medications. Like Seroquel, Thorazine, and Trazodone, when mixed together, is one hell of a cocktail that's going to have a lot of side effects. Giving him Ritalin and Adderall with Wellbutrin, and then with Xanax, and then all these other drugs like Risperidone and Lamictal, all thrown together, is going to have a lot of side effects. And you shouldn't be punishing your child for having headaches, being drooling, shitting himself, or having problems with these side effects. So, it's really important that you understand what's going on and be a real adult and be a parent. If you can't understand the side effects of the medication, then you can't request them for a doctor because that means that your kid could get hurt. You shouldn't be giving your child medication that you don't understand. If you're going to give your child medication, you need to understand the side effects of the medication, what he's taking that medication for, what it's going to do for him, and if it's working or not. It's up to you to tell the doctor if that medication is working or if the medication is making him worse. And if it's making your child worse, then the doctor can go, oh, well, maybe he doesn't have this, or maybe that's the wrong medication for him. But instead, my mother was just trying to pile on as many as she could without even reporting or checking a single side effect. Not only that, this was right after Westford, an overdose, extra Epicac, my stomach getting destroyed, my nervous system getting destroyed, then her hiding that with ballet, trafficking me to Texas, putting me in New Mexico, bringing me to Maine. By then, she just hit the reset button, reset button, reset button. She hit the reset button so many times, when we got back to Chelmsford, Massachusetts, nobody had a clue what was going on with me, and my mother was just piling on bullshit. So now today, I can either get a bunch of drugs I don't need, or I can work and die on the side of the street and get really hurt and more disabled and try to like fall at work and try to stand up and hold my job and end up having seizures and try to walk down the street with and have seizures on the way and then try to not freeze while freezing and just all this other crazy shit and fall down in front of customers, get up, take ambulances out of work, blockages in the bathroom, enemas in the bathrooms, so much crazy shit. Disabled people who have severe disabilities need to get those disabilities taken care of before they cause more harm to themselves trying to work. Anyways, the other option is I just move into a cave someplace, become one of those cavemen, and I die from freezing to death, and that's all I get. Now, you might be thinking, well, how about the shelter? Well, yes, that's an option too, but only until I have my disability show. As soon as I can't move my legs quick enough for them, or if I try to take a cold shower and have a seizure and fall on the ground and can't move, as soon as an ambulance takes me out of there, they won't let me back in. You might be thinking, how could that be? How could you be disqualified from using a shelter just because you're disabled? Well, My disability is not documented. It was hidden. So if I don't have paperwork, yet I'm falling down and can't move, they'll just think it's some game or they won't know what the fuck to do. So they just ban you from using the shelter. They tell you, okay, you can come back to the shelter when you have documentation of your disability. But until you have documentation of what's going on, why you're having seizures on our bathroom floor, and why you turned on the cold water, and next thing we know, we got a naked guy stuck on the floor unconscious. So until you got something explaining that, we're not going to want you staying here. Or another shelter did this. In the morning, it took me about 30 minutes to get my legs to stand up. So they tried to rush me up, and the guy grabbed my shoulder, ripped me out of bed, and tried to stand me up against my will. So I did. I tried to walk, and I fell. I bumped my head on a damn bureau, and then I tried to get up, but I couldn't. I was having trouble getting off the floor. Then the guy just said, "That's it, you're fucking out of here, you're out of here, I don't care, you can walk, you're fucking out of here, I don't care what you say, you can walk." So anyways, I get to the cot and I start stretching my legs trying to get up before this guy hurts me. Eventually I walk out of there barely. I'm walking, I'm walking, I'm stumbling a little bit, having trouble, but I just got out of bed, I'm just moving my body. I get outside, I sit down, and I get stuck in the cold, shaking. Now, the next day when I try to come back in, again, when you have documentation of what's going on with you, then you can come back in. Until a doctor gives you documentation of your illness, we don't want you here. This happens a lot. Now, why is this such a problem? My mother and father hid my true disabilities, covered them up, and then tried to turn them into other things. My mother also had a mental illness, so bad, and she also liked to abuse alcohol and pills. Because of that is why she's not alive today. I watched her die a horrible, horrible death doing horrible things. I mean, before she died, she was popping my Vicodin, pills were going missing, she was screaming like a lunatic, drinking too much. The minute she was dying in the hospital, she was saying crazy things. On top of this, the one day she came home, she blew past her family and went right to the liquor cabinet drinking with only 20% of her liver working. And she slept upstairs where her pill closet was. So who knows what pills she took while up there. But I don't know about the pills. All I know is for a fact, the minute she came home from the hospital with 20% of her liver working, she blew past me, went straight to the liquor cabinet, went straight to drinking booze, and in the next morning, she was in the emergency room dying again. And I had to watch this. That was the last time I saw my mother. She was drinking booze with 20% of her liver working only. That was the last time I saw my mother. And then I wasn't allowed to see her in the hospital because they wanted to cover this up too. They didn't want anybody to know she was an alcoholic or a pill popper, so they just left me out of it. Just took my rights away. I don't have a right to my closure with my mother. Nope, my father took that too. I don't have the human right to visit my dying mother. I don't have a right to see my dying mother. I don't have a right to even have closure. I don't have a right of any type whatsoever. My father's just going to take it all for himself. He's going to visit. He's going to control the narrative. My father's going to take control of all the narratives, and I'm getting thrown out the fucking narrative again. Nobody gets to hear my side. They just get to hear, oh, Zach's coming home to take care of his mother. It has nothing to do with me fucking up Social Security. Yep, he took control of the narrative there. Then my mother's dying because of her pill popping and alcohol. Nope, he doesn't tell the doctors that. He doesn't let me go in there. I'm not even going to talk to the doctors. All I'm going to do is sit there quietly. If somebody asks me a question, I'm going to answer it honestly and nicely, but I'm just going to sit there and wait for the guilt to get to my mother. And then I can easily just let her talk. I can record it, and then I can use that later. I don't have to do it then. I don't have to do it there. I can just leave it in my pocket, sit there quietly. That's it. But no matter what, I didn't get any closure or anything. I could have just sat there quietly doing nothing. Even if there was no recorder, just sit there quietly was all I wanted to do. My mother's dying. I'm all upset about it. My father's upset. I'm just going to sit there. If she wants to come clean, great. If she doesn't, she doesn't. There's no way I can make her. All I can do is sit there and she can see my face. That's all. That's all I can do is sit there. But she came home and drank. That might be important for the doctors to know. You think when my mother ended up in the emergency room, That same morning, after drinking, my father said, well, she had one martini when she first came home. You think he might have let that forget? Maybe he conveniently forgot to tell the doctor that? Maybe if he did, they could have helped her more. You don't know. You're not a doctor. That's why it's so important to give the doctor the information he needs. The doctor is only as good as the information you give him. And the information is good if it's honest, descriptive, and actually happened. That's what's so important about doctors. You need to have a full understanding of the information you're giving the doctor. But my mother absolutely fucked with my doctors, fucked with my medicines, tried to get me killed. Then my father covered up her drinking and pill popping. On top of that, I'm not being allowed to visit. Then he comes in and slurps up any money that's on the table that I could collect. Yes, I get calls from lawyers and people saying that me and my father can collect some money to do with my mother's retirement because she was 65 and didn't get it, and that I could fill out some paperwork with my father and we both would be able to collect this money. But instead, when I talk to my father about it, he lies through his teeth, lies to me, and tries to slurp it all up himself. He sees a big bowl of ice cream on the table. Yeah, I get a phone call that this bowl of ice cream is supposed to be split between my father and me, and maybe Jeff if he got involved in time, but he didn't. And that we're supposed to be involved talking about this. My mother just died. I'm supposed to be involved. I'm 20 years old, for goodness sake. But no, my father just lies to me and slurps up the whole ice. He goes, "Oh, this ice cream is good. Oh man, Zach doesn't need this delicious ice cream. No, no, no. He doesn't need any rent. No, 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 no. He doesn't need any clothing. No, no, no. He doesn't need any food. No, no, no. He doesn't need any future. No, no. He doesn't need any health care. No, I'll keep this all for myself because I need cruises. I need vacations. I need health care. I'm in my 80s. I need to extend my life a little tiny bit more while I shorten this kid's. Yeah, this kid won't even live to 45, and we fucked him up good, but I'm going to finish off whatever the hell comes his way. Anything that has my name on it and his name on it, I'm going to clean it out." And you know what's even worse? I had money that was guaranteed, it was mine, about $1,900 and something dollars. My father yelled at me because he wasn't able to steal it from me. I'm not even kidding. He got mad at me because I got my own money. Yes, when he threw me out of the house, I went to my bank with my bank account and I took out my money that my father made him put his name on the side of it. Yes, my father forced me to put my father's name on the side of my money. But when he threw me out, I knew the next day he was going to go steal my money. He does this all the time. He stole my Social Security. He ended up stealing my inheritance. Why wouldn't he steal my bank account money too? His name's on it. He'll go down and just take it. So I go down ahead of him and I get my money. It's my money. It's my name. It's my account. I'm pulling it out. I'm going to give it to people to stay on their couch. I'm using it for rent. And that's pretty much what I need it for, is rent and food anyways. So I take the money and I put it away in a separate place where my father can't get to it. I don't spend it, but I do take a little off the top. I do. But most of it gets put away for when I have to go to a friend's house. What I end up doing, I do end up using it at a friend's house, but it only gets me a month. My friend ends up just cleaning it out. But anyway, so when my father finds out about this, that I got my own money out of my own bank account, he starts yelling at me and starts telling me how he wishes he could have taken it, that he's mad that I got my money. I'm like, "Well, Dad, was it your money?" He goes, "No, but you took your money out." I said, "Yeah, I took my money out of my bank account that I had my name on. Your name was a cosign and that wasn't your money. So are you telling me you're mad because I got my money to use on rent, or are you mad because you couldn't get there first to steal it from me? Is that what you're really mad about?" And he was. My father got really mad that he was not able to run to the bank and steal my money first this time. He was able to steal my Social Security, crash that. He was able to steal the inheritance. Every single good type of money that ever came into my life, my dad would just swoop in and take it. My clothing money in Haverhill, yeah, while every other kid was going clothing shopping every month, my dad was doing a budget how he could try to keep a little money to his mortgage. Yeah, no, Zach doesn't need any of that clothing. He has shorts. He got short shorts. Those are fine. Those are fine. You got clothing. No, no, no. We don't need to give him 100 a month out of his Social Security. No, that's too much. 100 a month to go clothing shopping. That's way too much. 50? No, no. We'll bring him once a year. That's enough. Once a year and we'll put it in his Christmas gifts, and that's it. So we bring him on a school shopping during summer, a summer clothing run where we bring him out, and then we'll buy him clothing and throw it in his Christmas gifts. That way we can subtract it off of that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll call it a Christmas gift. Yep, socks, pajamas, all that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Then we'll keep the receipts. Yeah. And that way we have more money towards the mortgage, and then we could put Zach into a program. That way we get to use the money for a mortgage. We can vacation. On top of this, we don't even have to see him. It's a win-win for us. We don't have to see him. We don't have to raise him. We don't have to feed him. And we get to keep his Social Security. And if he asks for clothing, or if he wants to go clothing shopping with other kids in the program, we can just tell him, no, that's not true. No, 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 no. You don't get to go clothing shopping. And then your son can go back to the program to be by himself while every other kid, all other 14, 15 kids, go to the mall to get clothing, and I get left behind, punished in my room every single month. And when I ask why I'm being punished, they say, ask your father. And then they say, well, we don't have enough staff members to have you wander around the program, so we need you in your room. And the staff member is going to wait outside. But when the kids are back from clothing shopping, then you can come out. Well, why am I being punished this way? Ask your father. Ask your father. Then the kids come back from McDonald's every month because they go on the way back to get a bite to eat. Meanwhile, I get to go downstairs and get a canned good. Green beans, Chef Boyardee, whichever I want. Pick out any can I want. I can have a green bean, I can have a canned corn, cream of corn, or I can have a Chef Boyardee. Oh, what goods. I get to pick out one can from the cupboard, and that's my lunch. That's my supper. Fantastic, right? All the other kids get to go to McDonald's every month, and for like 3 years straight, I'm just eating a can of green beans or Chef Boyardee, and then going back in my room to sit there twiddling my motherfucking thumbs. No TV, nothing. Can't use my video games. You only get to listen to music in your room. That's all. So I had a CD player, and I played the same CD on loop every fucking month, every month. Meanwhile, coming home to ask my father when I can go clothing shopping with the other kids, and he tells me, no, 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 no. No, 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 no. No, they don't get that much money. No, no, no. No, they don't get that much money. They don't get 200 a month. No, no, no. I don't care how much they get. This is what's happening. What are you going to do for me? Nothing? Oh. Oh, I see. So I'm going to, and then the boots I like, you're going to give away to Seth. The jacket I like, you're going to give away to the church. So the actual clothing I do have that you got me, you're just giving away like crazy. You're letting your wife just clean out. I mean, my goddamn clarinet. I didn't bring the clarinet to the program so it wouldn't get stolen. So I wanted to use the clarinet at school. So sometimes I used to, very, very, only like once a year, I was able to bring the clarinet to school and use it. Well, that stopped really quick. I could have also used the clarinet to make money. I was hoping I could get to some city like Lowell or Lawrence or Haverhill and make money with it. So I was really hoping one day I could be on a street corner, getting a couple bucks with that clarinet. But by the time I was 15, my mother was selling it to other people, giving away my boots, throwing away my paperwork, cleaning out my room. Even when I was living in Westwood, my mother went straight into my room and threw away my favorite toys. I had this Pokeball she threw away. And don't forget, my swimming medal that I won in the orphanage, she stole that from me. So they had no problem cleaning me out. That's for sure. Still to this day, they're cleaning me out. They have no problem. They have no problem. They're calling my doctors trying to prevent me even from getting that. They're taking away so many human rights. They're trying to lead me into a situation where I don't even get to use a shelter, a doctor, or work a job. Basically, they just want me to die for them and go away. They're like, oh, we made a mistake, so let's kill him quickly. No, we got to hurry up. We got to kill him faster. Yeah, he knows too much now. We got to kill him faster. Yeah. Oh, I know. We'll call his doctor and stop him from getting medical care. We'll call his DMH worker and tell them it's all a fantasy. Because if we tell them it's all made up and they drop out on him, it'll take him 10 more years to get get down the low, get all this figured out, and then he'll be dead by then, right? Yeah, that works. That'll get him killed. Yeah, let's do that. This is literally how my father treats me. his new wife after my mother died of liver failure. After the shit I've been through, and I've been sober for now, I think it's 7 years with only one relapse, and the only relapse I had was needing surgery, and the doctors prescribed me the medication I relapsed on. So first I was prescribed Vicodin, then some codeine, then I ended up looking for some Perk 5s, and that was my relapse. By the end of it, I was looking for any painkiller that was low dose to split up throughout the day. I think I even sniffed some fentanyl at one point, but that only lasted for 6 months. I got my surgery, I had all my teeth removed. And after a year of begging my father to lend me the money, he finally did, and then I had to send him back all my tax returns, which I did. Every single tax return went to him but the one of this year. This year, I didn't send anybody my tax return because when I went to H&R Block, out of $16,000, they only want to give me $18 back at H&R Block. $18 for working $16,000 work at minimum wage while disabled, while have seizures on the side of the road. I mean, I literally was bleeding internally into my testicles, went to the emergency room, went to the doctors, went to work that same day, and then went back to the doctors. They never allowed me a single breath. I don't even get a single breath to breathe. Right now, I'm taking a breath to breathe because I'm too injured to even grab a pack of cigarettes and help the customers. I can't even stand up to work the register right now. My kidneys and GI are so bad. So I'm fucked and I'm finally getting a breath. But what do you think happens while I'm taking this 2 week breath? In the first 2 weeks, eviction notice. Then a couple more weeks, people piling up. No toilet paper, no food, no this, no that, no, 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 no. It all piles up. Of course it does. I'm a disabled person who shouldn't be working, who is not collecting Social Security, who's not receiving any medical care for his actual problems, who had his biggest disabilities hidden and lied about. Of course I'm fucked.